So, what is it you do on your channel exactly?
On my channel, it kind of has evolved as I've gotten more into the whole thing, but it started off with me just making a video about Star Wars and why I didn't like The Last Jedi. And everyone that's ever known me has known that I'm a die-hard Star Wars fan, so when I posted on Facebook, like, don't go see this new movie, it's not Star Wars, it's horrible, I got over 1,000 people asking me why I didn't like this movie, so I felt like it would just be easier to make a video, and that way when somebody asked me, instead of copying and pasting the same message over and over again, I could be like, go watch the video. And so the video kind of blew up, and then now it's evolved to me talking about Star Wars and what's been going on, and like kind of keeping up with Star Wars news.
Did you ever anticipate it to be what it is today?
No, not at all.
No. How many videos do you currently have on your channel?
I think I have over 30 now. That's not including live streams. So just on its own, just about 30. Yeah. Or maybe a little bit more, because I've been trying to get out more content. So 30 to maybe 40 at this time.
So your channel's called...
That Star Wars Girl.
And I know most of them are Star Wars related, but you have other videos that are non-Star Wars related?
Yes, I just kind of talk about everything it is that I like. At the end of the day, I love Star Wars the most, so that's why my channel is still That Star Wars Girl. But I'll talk about other things that I like I'm a professional artist, so I've done videos where I talk about my art. You can go see them on my channel, where I talk about Copic markers and just my time as an artist. I've also talked about doing movie reaction or like trailer reactions. So I do that. I'm a diehard Star Wars, or obviously Star Wars, Star Trek fan as well. So I think I've done 2 videos where I talk about Star Wars and Star Trek, but mostly they've all been about Star Wars. When I talk about other things, it's mainly in live streams.
In your videos, you talk about identity politics. Can you explain what that is and how Lucasfilms is utilizing it?
It's absolutely infuriating to say that, oh, just because someone is not the same gender as you, not the same ethnicity as you, that you're incapable of relating to that person. It's like, no, if somebody is going through something that I can, Luke Skywalker, he was a farm boy and he wanted to make something more with his life, and that's the introduction of him. He's on this planet, he's stuck, he doesn't want to be a farmer, he wants to go off and he wants to fly, and when he looks off at the binary sunset, it's that longing and that need within you to do something more with your life. When I watched Star Wars, I was 2.5 years old, and yeah, I can remember that far back, and I just remember looking at him, I'm like, oh my gosh, in that moment I had never related to someone more in my life, because I grew up on a farm. I wanted to do something more with my life, and I can relate to Luke Skywalker in wanting to make better myself and to learn and to, I have stuff. Everyone has something going on in their life. Everyone has their own demons, and it's about how you deal with them. And Luke Skywalker teaches you through the 3 movies how to be a good person. And so for someone to tell me that I am not capable of relating to him because he is a man and I'm a woman, I think is absolute, can I cuss?
Go ahead.
Bullshit. But as far as the identity politics, now it's with Star Wars, it's like they don't care about telling a good story. Nowadays, that's not what they care about. They care about making money. They're like, oh, okay, Star Wars has too many men in it, so let's make the main character a girl. Okay, you know what? That's fine if you make the main character a girl. There's a lot of different franchises that have very strong female leads, like Terminator. Look at Sarah Connor. Look at the Alien franchise. It doesn't matter if the main character is a man or woman, unless it's a James Bond movie, then that's going to make a big difference. But still, I mean, you could do the female version of that. It doesn't really matter if the character, I don't care. If I watch Star Trek, I don't care if you're an alien, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, as long as it's a well-written character. But that's not what they care about. They're like, we need to have our token ethnic person, we need to have a woman, we need to have this, this, and that. They didn't care about the story, they just cared about meeting their quotas. Oh, that might,
Yep.
Yeah, I know, it's just, lighting is inconsistent. Let's just keep it at that.
And you've been vocal about this on your channel, right? Very, very vocal.
It's like in the new Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi, one of the character, I mean, there's so many things wrong with that movie, but one of the biggest things that, like, I was just watching it and I felt uncomfortable. There's a character that they introduced, Laura Dern. It's her character. It's, oh my gosh, I call her Purple Hair because I don't think she's worthy of me saying her name. But, so Purple Hair, when she comes in, they're just like, oh, okay, here's this new character. Let's just introduce this new character. Nobody has any, like, you know, when we watch it, it's like we have that, we see Princess Leia and it's like we know who Princess Leia is. We have that emotional connection. We care about Princess Leia because she's been built up from the previous Star Wars movies. When I watched The Force Awakens, I did care about Rey. I did care about Finn. I was like, you know what? Okay, these are the new, obviously, you know, times are changing. The original cast, they're not as young as they used to be. So I had that, you know, emotional connection. I was like, okay, this girl was left on a planet, maybe, and the way that Harrison Ford and her interacted with one another, I felt like his character knew who she was. So I was like, okay, she's got to be a Skywalker, she's got to be a Kenobi, she's got to be a Solo, like something. She's related. So I was emotionally connected, and I knew that I wasn't getting the answers in the first movie, that I would get my answers in the next movie or the final movie. So I had that, you know, I was buying into the story. Like, I knew that it wasn't going to be answered right away, but I was like, you know what? I can go with it because I know it's going to be a 3-part story. As compared to this character that they just introduced, and they're just like, oh, okay, Leia's in the ICU, let's bring in this character. Instead of bringing in someone like Admiral Akbar. Now, when we watched the original Star Wars, Admiral Akbar is in charge of the siege of Endor.
He's the one that's like, it's a trap, right?
Yes,
okay.
him.
I know who he is.
So he's the alien. I was like, instead of bringing in a character like that, who everyone knows who he is, like, even if you don't know his name, you know the character.
Yes.
And he was really emphasized in the Clone Wars, the TV show, and so you learn a lot about him. Like, he's actually a prince from the planet that he was from, and then, you know, when they actually got to democracy, and then his relationship with Leia and how they, you know, were in the Senate and he was working with her father. So everyone knows who Admiral Akbar is. There's been over 40 years of people, or 40 years worth of stories that he's involved in. So instead of bringing in a character like that who's an alien, and yeah, you know what, he's wearing a mask, or they could use CG. Nobody knows who's inside that. Yeah, he's a man, but I mean, a woman could easily put on the suit and do the same thing, and it doesn't matter, because people that are watching Star Wars, I'm not watching it because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm Portuguese. I'm not watching a movie going, oh my gosh, there's a Portuguese actress. That's the only person I can relate to in this movie. No, it's like I'm watching this because these are characters I care about. Now, when they introduced Purple Hair, I'm just like, all right. Like, I was already done within the first 5 minutes of watching this movie. It was absolutely horrible. But so when she came in, I'm like, okay, another character. I do like Laura Dern. So I was like, oh, it's the girl from Jurassic Park. Maybe she's going to do something cool. Just maybe. What happens? She comes in, she's a total bitch. And then the way that she talks with Poe, like, Poe's coming up, hey, like, you know, we're in trouble, we're in, like, really big trouble, like, let's work on this, let's fix it. She's just, like, the way that she speaks to him, it's so condescending, and it gave me flashbacks from, like, college about, I had this one boss that was, like, really, really creepy, and it made me feel like that. I'm like, if the roles were reversed, like the gender roles, if Poe was a female character and the purple hair girl was a dude, the way he was, you know, she was talking to him, it's very, like, it's creepy. It's like as if your like, she was like, I know Laura Dern's got a very flirtatious personality, but it's like she's flirting with him and she's getting a kick out of, you know, kind of torturing him in a way and, like, being condescending to him. And I'm like, this is just extremely uncomfortable on top of everything. And you can go back and watch that scene and just picture him if the roles were reversed and just tell me how creeped out you are. It's very uncomfortable.
Because you've been so, I mean, you address this political identity. You've gotten backlash on it on your channel and on social media. So can you tell us, like, what people say about that?
Yeah. So again, with everything that I've been saying, so there are other people who will die hard defend The Last Jedi, and they're like, no, there's nothing wrong with it, it's a perfect movie. And people like me were like, and most of the people that say this, I'm just going to straight out say this about them, they don't really care about, like, it seems to me from all the people that I've encountered that like The Last Jedi, they're usually not real Star Wars fans. And that's a very hard thing to say, but all the people that are very vocal about it on Twitter or on YouTube or on Facebook, those people have their own agendas. They want to get invited to, special screenings. They want to get special passes for Star Wars Celebration. People like me that are saying that the things that we're actually feeling, like, hey, there's actually a lot of problems with this movie. Like, no other Star Wars movie has caused a divide like this. But they're just like, no, you're wrong. And if you're wrong and you don't agree with us, you're a sexist, misogynistic white man who's a Nazi who lives in your grandmother's basement.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
To that extent. And there's been people that have said that I'm not actually saying my opinions, that someone is giving me a script, and that I'm a terrible actress. I'm like, well, I 100% agree with you that I'm a terrible actress because I can't act. This isn't me acting. This is me expressing an opinion. And you know what's funny is all these people can hide behind a computer screen and say this stuff to me, but not a single person will say this to my face. I mean, I was at a convention where I was drawing, because that's what I do, I'm an artist, and I'm drawing at this convention, and my pencil box is Han Solo frozen in carbonite. And someone commented, they're like, oh, that's a really cool pencil box, and I was like, thanks! And then he's like, oh, have you seen, and I was drawing like a couple, it was like, I don't know if they were married or not, but they were a couple, and he was telling me how much he loves Star Wars, and then he's asking me about the new movie, and I'm not an impolite person. If somebody likes The Last Jedi, I'm not going to go and attack them in person. But I was like, oh yeah, did you like the new movie? And he's just like, no, it was horrible. I was like, oh, thank goodness. And
got relieved. You're like,
so I'm not going to have to play along because I'm, drawing these people. And then he's just like, oh yeah, did you like it? He's like, I know some people like it, but he's like, I thought it was horrible. I'm a diehard Star Wars fan. I was like, dude, I understand. Like, I have a whole YouTube channel where I talk about it. And then he's just like, Anna? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you're that Star Wars girl. I was like, oh my gosh. But so everyone that I've encountered in real life has been really nice and has agreed with me. Yeah.
So because you're a female, do you think you get a lot of backlash from like older white men who...
You know what's funny about that question is all of the people that I have talked to that agree with me on the topic of not liking Star Wars, one of my now best friends, Ivan, he's from Mexico. He's 100% Mexican. He hates The Last Jedi. He's re-editing it. There's millions of people around the world that watch his videos, that send him reactions to watching his videos, and so many people are excited to see his re-edit. Then there's Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. Yeah, he is a white man. I mean, that has nothing to do with it. He 100% agrees with me on what happened with The Last Jedi. Then there's, other girls like Jessie Milestone. She has her own channel. She very passionately hates the new Star Wars. Then there's I've just met so many other people. Like, it doesn't really matter what we look like because most of the time it's people online. I never see their face. But the guy from World Class Bullshitters, Jeff, I think he's half black and half white. Ethan Van Sciver, who's a famous comic book artist, he hates it too. He's white, but I don't think that has much to do with it. But what's funny is all the people that are attacking us are middle-aged white men.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, how does that make you feel? Like, do you just want to... I mean, I know you destroy them with facts, like later on, like on a live stream or...
Oh, yeah. So there is this one guy. His name is Jason Ward. I had no idea who this guy was. I knew that the other guys... So, some of the people that I mentioned just now previously, they have a YouTube show. It comes on every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. It's called The High Council, and it's just where they're the three YouTubers with the biggest channels that talk about Star Wars that are in our community. Our community is called the Fandom Menace, and they just talk about current events. And this guy, Jason Ward, passionately hates them, like with a very burning passion. And he has a website called MakingStarWars.com or .net, and I didn't know who this guy was, but I did a video for Geeks and Gamers channel because I do videos. I'm a content creator for them as well as making content for my own channel. And I made a video about Kathleen Kennedy. She was the woman, she's the president of Lucasfilm. She's had the whole thing about how Luke Skywalker, women can't relate to him.
You're the one you called her a pathetic excuse for a woman, right?
I called her a pathetic excuse for a woman, and this is why. She wants to kill off established characters, and Luke Skywalker is... Oh, well, that happened. One of the, universally, he is one of everyone's favorite characters because he is that character that he grows. The whole story is about Luke Skywalker and the journey between Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker, and how Anakin struggled with the dark side of the Force, and then Luke Skywalker comes, he does the hero's journey, he builds himself to what he is eventually, which he becomes a Jedi. He fights with the darkness, and he shows you that you can overcome anything as long as you stay true to yourself, and you can always be a good person, and that good will always triumph over evil. And her making the declaration that women cannot relate to that is beyond upsetting, and it actually makes me sick to my stomach to even think that a woman or a person like that exists. But then she said she won't acknowledge anything, that they did anything wrong. No one has come out. She was the front runner for Star Wars. The Force is female, which if she knew anything about Star Wars, she would know that the Force is not female. The Force has no gender. It's like a yin and yang. You can't have one without the other. So, and I know that was for a Nike campaign, but still, she was the front runner. She was like, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. It's like, girl, you don't know anything about Star Wars. You've never watched a movie. You've never read a Star Wars book. But then, when everyone got mad about what happened with The Last Jedi, there was a boycott for the I call it Solo. That's kind of an inside joke that it's a soy movie. But when Solo came out, it was the first Star Wars movie to flop. It cost over $280 million to make, and they're only admitting to losing $80 million, but sources say that they have lost a lot more than $80 million, and it's because, and even though, from what I've heard, Solo was not an entirely bad movie. There was a lot of plot holes in it, and people that know a lot about Star Wars lore had a lot of problems with it. But from what I've heard, it was an enjoyable movie. Like, it wasn't as bad as The Last Jedi. But not many people went to see it because everyone is upset with The Last Jedi, and people aren't going to want to go watch your movies or buy your products when they're getting called sexist, misogynistic white men. Like, I haven't gone out. Like, you can see behind me, I used to spend every cent I had on Star Wars. Like, I could buy food, and then I could buy something from Star Wars. I haven't bought a single thing from Star Wars in maybe over a year and a half now, since The Last Jedi came out, because I'm so infuriated by what's going on, and I don't want any of these new products. It's not Star Wars. It's not the characters that I loved. It's changed, and it's not that anymore. But I know I just kind of went on a little side note, but to answer your question, yes, I did a video because when Solo came out and it was, a box office disaster, Bob Iger, who is the president of Disney, he came out and he apologized, and he said the reason why Solo failed was because of Star Wars fatigue. And Bob Iger, he is very, I wouldn't say, he is very politically correct, but he's very professional when he comes and makes statements and does stuff. And the fact that, with Pixar messes up, what happens? John Lasseter comes out, says he apologizes, and he steps down. But when Kathleen Kennedy messes up, what does she do? She's been on this whole kick, yay, female empowerment, we are the, strong, we have to be in everything, only women, men are bad in Star Wars. What does she do? She makes a mistake, she hides behind a man. So it's like, if you can't practice what you preach, then you shouldn't be preaching. And she obviously doesn't know anything about Star Wars, and that's why if I make a mistake, I will own up to it. She made a huge mistake, and what does she do? She hides behind a man, which is why I made the video saying that she's a pathetic excuse for a woman. And because I made that video, people attacked me on Twitter, people I had never heard of. So this guy that I mentioned earlier, Jason Ward, he saw my video, he shared it on Twitter, and he said a bunch of horrible things about me. Then he sent his minions after me, and I went through and I read all of the tweets that all these people were saying about me, saying, like I said earlier, she's a terrible actress. This girl needs to, we need to give her some money so she can go take classes at a community college.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, they were hardcore insulting my intelligence. I think I have screenshots saved somewhere I can always send to you once I think they're on my iPad, which is, hey! Conveniently. I had it because I knew you were coming.
It's a huge iPad.
Yeah, this is the one for drawing, but let me see if I can find them while I talk about this. So, and again, I kind of had heard about who this person was, but it's like when people talk about someone, it's like, okay, yeah, you kind of know who they are, but since you've never had an interaction with them, you don't know anything about them. So I And when I post my videos on YouTube, something's wrong with the YouTube notification center to where people will like comment on my videos or comment on my live stream and be like, hey, I didn't get a notification. The only reason I know is because you posted it on Twitter or on Facebook. So I always post my videos on Twitter, and I posted it, and everyone that's like part of the community, the Fandom Menace, they're like, oh, that was a great video, Anna, like you really like got her. And I even told Jeremy, because Jeremy made a Kathleen Kennedy video like a few hours before me, and I messaged him and I was like, hey, I just saw the news, I'm making a video, I'm giving it to you for your channel because this has to do more with Geeks and Gamers than with what I talk about on my channel. And he's like, okay. And I was like, I just want you to know, I'm pretty sure it's going to cause some backlash because I know Jeremy has a lot of haters. And so he's like, okay. And he's like, are you okay? And even the picture that I used for my thumbnail was a picture of Kathleen Kennedy with an angry mob behind her and her little bubble. I think you'll laugh when you hear it. I just said they could eat cake.
Oh.
So I thought it was clever. Jeremy didn't get it, but I was just like, it's Marie Antoinette thing.
Marie Antoinette.
But I was like, that's...
And then they cut her head off.
Yeah. But I was like, that's what it feels like right now. It feels like the French Revolution, and like they, they're making excuses, but it's like at the end of the day, your people are starving. We love Star Wars. We're a very passionate people. We're going to fight for Star Wars. And it's just absolutely unbelievable. But so this guy, he's posted on my, like, I had my Twitter post, and then he commented, and then I saw other people were commenting back. And you know how on Twitter people have the blue check mark? That means they're like official. They're like famous.
Authorized.
Yeah. So I saw that somebody commented on my video with a blue check mark, and I was like, who is this person? And I went and I was like, maybe I'm just not understanding what he's saying, because he was acting extremely immature, like a child. And I was like, did your like kid get access to your account? Like, what's going on? I feel like I'm talking to a 6-year-old, not a 46-year-old. Let me see if I can.
So I had a question. So who appointed Kathleen Kennedy as the CEO of?
She is president of Lucasfilm.
Was that Bob Iger's decision or George Lucas's?
That
decision?
was unfortunate. So George Lucas's decision. So there's an interview where George and Kathleen are sitting down, and the woman that's interviewing them, she's asking him why he's picking Kathleen. So Kathleen Kennedy was executive producer, and she worked with Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, and she mostly worked with Steven Spielberg on all of the projects for like 20 years. So they both really trusted her. But the thing is with her, there's different types of people. So me, I'm a very creative person. If you put me in charge of the business aspect of something, I can probably mangle through it, but that's just because my parents both they both started and ran their own businesses, so I grew up around that. But there's a lot of people that aren't, they're inclined to one thing. Like if I asked you to sit down and paint a picture.
Oh my god.
I'm
a terrible artist.
Exactly. It'll probably take you a lot longer than someone like me, where that's what I do for a living. Mm-hmm. So for Kathleen Kennedy, on the side of the business aspect, I feel like that's what her strong suit is. She's a very smart, or she's not actually, and she's proving she's not a smart businesswoman, but she was on the business side of things. She took care of the filming locations, the permits, that kind of stuff. And so putting her in, and working with George and Steven for all those years, I feel like George thought, she's been with us for 20 years, like it would make sense to pass it on to her because she's worked with both of us. She knows what we want. And she even, in this video, she says, yes, I'm going to hold true to what George wanted, what George's idea of what Star Wars is. Guess what happened? Within a year, she's like, we're throwing that all away.
Yeah, because she sees money. She wants the money. She doesn't want to improve the franchise.
But the thing is, they want it to be the Disney version of Star Wars. They don't want it to be the George Lucas version of Star Wars. So they're taking everything that George made and saying, we don't want this, let the past die. We want everyone to like our new stuff, but the new stuff isn't good because it didn't have that heart behind it. It doesn't have the story. It doesn't have the emotional connection. It's not a legend, whereas George Lucas's was.
I mean, does it affect you when people tell you something? Like, does it, like, bring you down, or...
It did. When I was reading all those people, like, attacking me, I was just like, you don't know anything about me. And I'm just... One of the things that really, like, it irked my soul in the beginning, but now it doesn't get to me as much, is people like that, they don't know anything about me. They, like... the girl that was saying, oh, she's a horrible actress. It's like, yeah, I'm a horrible actress. I don't act. I don't know how to act. And then people saying that I'm not smart, like, she's so unintelligent. I'm like, everything that you saw, like, I was like, you didn't watch my video, but everything in the video, it's me making it up as I go along. I'm not reading a script. And they all accused me of reading a script. And I'm just like, well, thank you for thinking that my thoughts were that thought out, that like I wrote it. I was like, no, I literally, every video, I've never scripted a single video. I turn the camera on and I start talking. I do usually have an idea what I'm going to say. Like, nobody really goes into something not having an idea. Like, when I make a video, it's like, okay, this video I'm going to talk about the art of Star Wars. It's like, okay, so I know what I know about the art of Star Wars, so I'll start making points on that and elaborating and continuing on until I come to a conclusion and I end my video. So that's what I was doing with that. And so for them to insult me, I was really like, you know, what the hell? You guys don't even watch my video. Why are you making these opinions about me when you don't know me? Know about that. So I did a video explaining, hey, like, I really like orcs, and I wanted to show, like, I like drawing female orcs because I'm not very good at drawing women, so that's one of the things when you want to get better at something, you do it. So I was like, okay, let me draw female orcs. I really love drawing orcs, so let me do that, but then let me give them jobs. Like, let me show a female blacksmith as an orc. Let me show a fisherman, like, kind of job. So it's like, this is a job, this is what this orc does, this is what this one does. So that way they have a purpose within the orc world from World of Warcraft. And so that's what my entire video is about. And this guy, I might be reading them out of order, but this guy came and attacked me on this video, and he says, this is a long one, so it says, that Star Wars girl, you stand with and support people who slam on new Star Wars films with vengeance. I have been insulted, ridiculed, and slammed on by individuals who support this cause. Just because I love The Last Jedi, anyone who supports them is helping to create a rift in the fans and viewers. Anyone who supports them is supporting their hateful disdainful attitudes that have triggered other people to stand up to the abuse. YouTubers like Geeks and Gamers, Comics Artist Pro Secrets, or Thor Skywalker, spreading hate and lies to achieve a cruel agenda, making a mess of something many people love and adore. It's a shame and hateful, selfish attitude from viewers that have ruptured the careers of several actors and George Lucas himself. He sold to Disney because people need to drive their I hate Star Wars propaganda around the world. That it does not even make sense. And it doesn't even make sense. That's not why he sold Star Wars. I learned later on that this person isn't exactly mentally stable. I don't know what the political way of saying that is, but he's kind of different, and he just goes and he harasses other people. So I found that from other YouTubers that he's not all there necessarily. I don't really know how to put it in a different way but let me finish this. I don't even know if I need to finish this. This is just absolutely ridiculous. Where was I? Hayden, Natalie, Jake, Daisy, and Kelly are examples of this. As mentioned, George himself sold Star Wars because of views from viewers. That's not why he sold Star Wars. He sold Star Wars because Lucasfilm wasn't making the profit. He also was getting to the age where he wanted to retire. He sold Star Wars for a lot of reasons. It was not for the ridicule he was getting, because at that time he was making Star Wars video games and making the Clone Wars, and he actually was making money, but it wasn't as profitable as it used to be. And George, he was, ready to move on to the next stage of his life. Stop supporting the haters, please. P.S. I've seen many monetized accounts bashing Star Wars horribly, so I apologize. I just know how many people profit from hate. From hate. It is truly sad. That was the second comment that he gave. I guess I messed this up. But he said, damn, I thought you were cool, but you're another hater who is making things worse for fans like me. I wish I had not given your video another view to help you make money off YouTube. Making money supporting the hate crowd. And this was my response. I said, first off, you clearly didn't watch my video. You prove that with your comment. Secondly, dude, my channel isn't even monetized, so I don't make any money off YouTube. The only one hating on anything is you. So do us all a favor and educate yourself before you comment, because you're just proving to me and everyone else how ignorant you are. And let's see. I have never said you cannot like The Last Jedi, nor has Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. You can like whatever movies you want, that's fine, but don't come seeking us out and accusing us of lies. You're the only one making yourself look foolish. I am a very reasonable person. I have no problem speaking with people who have opinions other than my own, but when you come to my channel and insult me and attack me and accuse me of things that are not true, I have no problem proving you wrong with facts. I will defend myself just like I will defend Star Wars with everything I have. I have no intention of ever speaking to you again because you already proved that you have no logic, no reality behind your arguments. You are just a hateful person going out and seeking attention, and I want nothing to do with you. This is another post. I know that these are out of order. Let's see. I will address this, and this will be my last response. You claim you have been insulted and ridiculed and slammed by people who support a cause, yet you were the one that came to my channel and commented on a video you did not watch, saying hateful things to me and accusing me of things that are not true. You intentionally sought me out, whereas I had no idea who you were until you commented on my video and insulted me. This speaks monuments for you and your character, and you have brought it upon yourself. Any reasonable person will defend themselves when attacked, and you have not only attacked me and my channel, but now you are accusing others as well. This cause, I and other channels, like my self-support, is the true essence of Star Wars. You think to lecture me on George Lucas, yet I am the one who actually has a link to George Lucas. He has seen my work, appreciates my fandom, and has told our mutual friends he would love to meet me. I do not have a hateful attitude. I have a realistic one and an actual understanding of the true meaning of Star Wars that George Lucas intended it to be, and I am appalled by what these people have done to it. They are the ones who insulted George Lucas, they are the ones who have insulted us, and they are the ones who ruined Star Wars. Not me, not Ethan, not Jeremy, not Jeff, not Thor, them. But that's the gist of it, and when I shared this, people were like, this, obviously he didn't watch your video because you're talking about drawing orcs. You're not even talking about Star Wars. So he literally, and I was like, if he commented this on any other video, it would have made more sense, but he literally he commented on the one video where I'm not talking about Star Wars and I'm talking about drawing, I'm talking about markers. Half the video I spend explaining about the different type of paper and how these markers work with a certain type of paper, and I've been looking for this sketchbook because the best sketchbook that they make for these markers, they don't make anymore. It blows my mind. Like, ignorance is bliss.
Well, thank you so much, Anna.
No problem.